Live from Austin, Texas, it's time for Night Shift. On the show this week, from the ATX Music and Entertainment Division, musician Stephanie Bergara. From MusiCares, Debbie Carroll. Austin musician and Sun Radio DJ, Suzanna Choffel. Musician advisory panelist Tje Austin will be our musical guest this week. Community updates from Executive Director Pat Buchta. And y'all know me, I'm the host of this show, Nakia. And now, it's time for Night Shift. It happens every Wednesday at 7 p.m., right here at ATX Musicians. There it is, y'all. It is the Austin Music Disaster Relief Fund that was announced. All of the program info was announced today. The eligibility, the checklist of things you need to provide, and we're going to talk about that all evening tonight, right here on Night Shift. We do this every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. at here on our Facebook channel and our YouTube channel. And we're very fortunate that we get to use the at ATX Musicians pretty much across the board on social media. So if you're looking to follow us, that's how you do that. If you want to follow me, it's just at Nakia. So tonight we are going to have some fantastic guests. I'm really excited to talk to those folks. But I wanted to start out by saying how great I think it is that this fund is finally out in the public. We've got some time for folks to ask all the questions they need to ask. Most of them, I think, are answered. They did a great job answering a lot of those questions in the FAQ on the website, but I'm sure there will be others, and we will definitely help. If you've got questions about the Austin Music Disaster Relief Fund, you can post them in the comments below. We can put your comments on the screen, just like this one from Bob Zink, who's coming to us from Oak Hill. So howdy, Bob. Thank you so much for your comment. And if you have a comment that you would like to share with one of our guests tonight, or just in general, please post it in the comments below, and we will definitely try to get to that. Okay, so all that being said, I just want to reiterate that before we bring our guests on this evening, just to remind people at home that the Austin Music Disaster Relief Fund, first and foremost, is set up to help folks who have verifiable lost income from the COVID-19 cancellations. That's the first and foremost biggest requirement. Everything else, you can kind of fill in from there. But one of the things that we did see already is folks saying, well, I can't really prove, that I had these because there's no way for me to show where I had these gigs. And that is unfortunate. And we're definitely going to talk about that. And hopefully we can help folks like that to get to where they need to be. But we do know there are a lot of people who need this money, and that we're excited to start talking about it. And so without further ado, we're going to bring on our first guest. There she is. Stephanie.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for being on the show tonight.
Yeah, happy to be here.
We've been on for a few weeks, but we really wanted to time it. And boy, did we really time it right this time.
This is a big day.
Stephanie, you are the artist and industry development person for the ATX Music and Entertainment Division. You work closely with Erica Shamley and Kim McCarson, all folks that we love. And I've been working with you since I was a music commissioner way back in 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
And we have been able to start working even closer lately because our organization, Austin, Texas Musicians, obviously acts as an advocate for musicians. And we're talking to city council members, we're talking to music commissioners, but we're also talking to staff when it's appropriate. And I get to see you about once every 2 weeks now on a Zoom for the Live Music Fund, which is a whole nother show that we'll have to do another time. Tonight, we're going to focus on the Austin Music Disaster Relief Fund. So let's just start with the basics.
Sure.
How did Austin Music Disaster Relief Fund come about, and why was MusiCares chosen as the city's partner in administering those funds?
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm super happy to be here. This is really incredible work that the city is doing. And I'm not just saying that because I get to participate in it. It really is great, incredible work. And I'm so inspired by the work that the city has done to make this happen so quickly. So the Austin City Council passed an ordinance in April to spend $1.5 million from the city's Emergency Reserve Fund for emergency grants to support Austin's most vulnerable local musicians. The MusiCares Foundation has a world-renowned record for dispersing funds to vulnerable musicians, and we identified this organization as a partner who could assist us in dispersing funds to our community by the request of the City Council, which was responsibly and expediently. And I do apologize in advance. My 2-year-old is standing right next to me yelling in my face. I'm sorry.
You never have to apologize for that. I think that's awesome. This reminds me of one of our other guests tonight, Suzanna Choffel, did an interview recently with Austin 360, and her child was also a big part of the interview, and totally understandable. We love Andy. So anytime, anytime talk to Andy, that's great. So who is eligible and what are the qualifications for applying? And again, we know that this can get, there's a lot of this information is online, and we want people to go to atxrecovers.org or atxrecovers.com and find that information and read it for themselves. But could you tell us a little bit about who is eligible and what are the qualifications?
Absolutely. So applicants must reside in Austin and document their participation as a professional Austin musician in at least one of the following ways. So we're saying at least 2 years of documentation showing that the applicant has regularly performed as a professional musician, solo as a part of a band. That's very important. Individual band members can apply for this funding. They must have been able to do that in live performances to public audiences in Austin, Texas, or be an Austin professional musician with 6 released recordings or 6 promotionally released music videos. So if you've got music videos or if you have recordings on Spotify, those will qualify as indicators that you're eligible.
Gotcha. And I think that, you know, that the important thing to remember for folks watching at home, you said or, because
correct.
And this and that, it's or.
That's a very important fact. Any equation of those two pieces or those elements that I just mentioned will qualify you for this. And we wanted to make sure that the city and city council wanted to make sure that the eligibility criteria was very low, so that accessibility was there, and you weren't having to jump through too many hoops to obtain this money.
Absolutely. So how does the city plan on reaching out to communities of color and other demographics to let them know about the program? Because we know that historically it's been difficult for pretty much any music nonprofit or music organization in town to reach into those communities. So what are some things that you're working on to try to make sure that the word gets out about this?
Right. So we've gotten to do something we haven't ever done before, which is work really closely with the Equity Office. The City of Austin has an incredible Equity Office that makes sure that we meet the criteria of equity, diversity, and inclusion. And we worked with them to comprise a list of over 25 community champions, including Austin, Texas musicians, to assist in making sure that these funds reach the hands of our most vulnerable musicians. We also are able to translate the application to several languages to make sure the application process is easier on the applicants, including Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, and Vietnamese. Now, there are a couple of pieces in the application process that you're going to need to compile, a bio, resume, pieces like that. We've also enlisted the help of the Austin Music Foundation, who we're currently in a workforce development contract with, to assist. They are on call, ready to talk to you through the application, the eligibility requirements. We're really excited to be able to partner with them and to do something we've already been doing, which is workforce development.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Yeah. I love that. Okay, so then let's talk timelines, right? So today, obviously, you've announced the program, the eligibility, the checklist, the FAQs, etc. But what is the window for musicians to apply?
Sure. So an important piece of this of the process is that this is first come, first serve. So in order to make sure that we are giving people enough time to get their materials together and do all of that stuff, we announced it today. We're waiting 10 days to actually open the application so that anybody who has barriers to computer accessibility. Another piece that's very important is that the application is very easy to complete on your phone. So that's important.
I was going to ask you about that because that came up today, and they said, "Well, how am I supposed to do all of these documents with a phone?" And the good news is most all smartphones now will allow you to just take a photo of that document, and you can use that as the scan, basically.
Yeah, and MusiCares, we've already worked through MusiCares with testing that to make sure it's going to work, and it's going to work. Awesome. So we're wanting to wait 10 days to make sure that everyone can get their ducks in a row, get in touch with Austin Music Foundation, get their bio together, get their canceled shows together, income information, all that good stuff. So the application actually opens on June 8th, on Monday at 10 a.m. And it's only going to be open for a week. So it closes on June 12th at 5 p.m.
Okay.
So important to kind of get in there and get in early. It is a first come, first serve program, which is kind of a non-conventional way to do things with the city, but we're really excited that we're able to get this money out expediently and responsibly, and we feel like we've done a pretty good job with that.
Yeah, should we all take a moment to join in on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star with Andy? I wish that is he playing that on his own, or is it
it's a music box.
Oh,
so it's a music box that one of his preschool teachers gave him for Christmas, and sometimes in the middle of the night I'll hear it go off, just kind of, it's like in the toy box in a funny kind of way, and I'm like, what is that noise?
That's like some child play stuff though. So
yeah, definitely. So it's terrifying. This is a really incredible program, and I'm super proud of it. I'm born and raised Austinite. I'm a working musician as well, with 7 band members who are, also facing cancellations through July. This is super important work for me. So I'm really happy to be here and talk to you about it with Twinkle Twinkle Little Star playing in the background. But I'm really proud of the work that the many departments of the city have assisted with helping with.
Well, let's just take a moment for folks who are watching at home and don't know this. Traditionally, this type of setup would have taken months to set up. There would have been a lot of backward and forward between staff and council. City staff obviously working around the clock. Music staff in particular have been really, really busy, and we really want to thank you for that work, to both you, to Kim, to Erica, everybody on your team. The last question I wanted to ask you tonight, obviously, is one that we're getting already in the comment sections, is once folks apply, how quickly will the funds be dispersed, and how soon after applying can they expect an answer?
Of course. So, of course, with any application process, it's going to take a couple of weeks for us and MusiCares to get through the applications. It'll take about 2 weeks, and checks will be mailed to the applicants who receive the funding. So we're going to be getting an old school check. So I think that this was the most expedient way that we were able to pull this together. And yeah, it's going to be just a couple of weeks and then a few weeks after that to get the checks.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking some time. I'm so. Does he want to make a cameo? You want to say hi?
Hi. Say hi. He's like, oh no.
He's not ready for the camera yet.
No, and it's almost bedtime. So I appreciate y'all being patient with me, though. Patient with me.
We appreciate you and all the patience that you've been showing to the music community as we've been through this process. It's really been a process, but it's also been one that we've able to, I think, learn from. And the work that we're doing with the Live Music Fund right now, I'll be interested to see how this process informs that process.
For sure.
And we do have a Live Music Fund working group meeting coming up this week, I believe. So hopefully tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I know that we have asked staff to do a presentation kind of what you've learned in this process. So I'm excited to find out more. And if you want to find out more watching home about this, don't forget, you can go to atxrecovers.org or atxrecovers.com, either one. It'll take you to the main COVID-19 resources and relief page for the Austin, Texas city website. And then at the very top are two links. One is for the Austin Music Disaster Relief Fund and information about that. The other is for the newly rebranded and updated CSAP program we'll get into tonight. We'd love to have maybe Kim come back and talk to us about that. She's going to be what's the word? Driving that.
Kim's flying that plane. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm
Yeah.
flying this plane.
All right.
Flying this plane. Doing my best.
Well, thank you so much for all of your work, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Last question I wanted to ask you is Team Jada or Team Gigi or Team
Crystal Method.
Method.
This is such a hard question. I believe that this is Jada Essence Hall's race to win, but I really love Crystal Method too. She's so funny, and I love how she doesn't get the El DeBarge references anytime Ray gives into her. She's like, "What?"
I know, and you know they had to spend a fortune on music licensing for that clip.
I know.
Because
and they played it like 5 times.
So often. So for folks watching at home and you don't know, we're talking Drag Race. So
Drag Race, the finale's on Friday.
We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Thank you. We'll talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, that was Stephanie Bergara. She is the artist and industry relation representative for the ATX Music and Entertainment Division. We are going to be right back after this message with Debbie Carroll from MusiCares. Stand by. And there she is, Debbie Carroll.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. It's like magic. You just appeared out of nowhere.
From Nashville, right?
That's right. And Debbie, thanks so much for being with us tonight. Obviously, you are the Vice President of Health and Human Services for MusiCares. For folks watching at home, could you give us a little background on MusiCares? How did it start and who does it serve? And tell us more about that role that you play there.
MusiCares was founded in 1989 after Woody Herman died virtually homeless and alone. And a group of music industry folks got together and said, you know, this is a tragedy. We need to have a safety net for music people in times of need, and hence MusiCares' inception. We provide emergency financial assistance and a variety of other health and wellness initiatives to music people in times of need. We're nationwide. Our eligibility consists of really anyone who can document they've been in the music industry in some capacity for 5 years and or have credited contribution to 6 commercially released recordings or videos, which are singles. We help musicians, bus drivers, lighting tech guys, promoters, managers, songwriters, record label executives, if needed, really anybody who hits some type of difficulty. So we try to be as inclusive as we possibly can be. In my role, I oversee our programs and services nationwide. Gotcha.
And you and I met virtually for the first time through this process because I had a phone call, and then about maybe this could be a possibility. And then I called Christine Albert, and then she called y'all. And then the next thing I know, we're here. But for folks watching at home, I'm actually a MusiCares recipient from the first round of funding, which one of the things we did not get into with Stephanie, obviously, is that if you did get money from that first basic MusiCares COVID-19 fund, you would not be eligible for this specific Austin fund, which is, I think, totally acceptable because there are a lot of musicians that you were able to serve. I believe, if I'm correct, close to 400 were served from Austin with that first initial round of COVID-19 funding. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. But we know that, and we've always known that 1.5 million would never be enough to service all of our musicians here in town. But we're specifically targeting musicians who did have verifiable loss of income and are, in this case, very vulnerable and need this money badly. So back to that initial round of funding, How much aid were you able to deliver so far across the United States?
So far, we've distributed about $14 million in assistance to about 14,000 individuals. So we decided early on that with disaster relief, which we've been a part of for several disasters that have affected music people, that an equitable amount is makes the most sense. And so we're distributing $1,000 per eligible individual. And we quickly, once we announced the effort on March 17th, we were vetting between 500 and 600 applicants per day. And the need, again, has been extraordinary. And the level of angst and panic again with music people has been very heartbreaking, because music people many are particularly reliant upon live performances, and their revenue streams vary.
Yeah.
And so this pandemic has certainly affected so many.
Yeah.
We've listed a variety of different resources online to help people there as well, but we continue to raise funds, and we will continue to support as long as we need to. That's what we do. That's our wheelhouse. That's the work that we do, but yet we're also dependent upon the funds that we raise. So we're fortunate that we've been able to raise as much as we have, but there's several people that are still in need.
Absolutely. And we have seen some fairly large corporations come forward and make some great donations. And we've even seen even more organizations announcing live stream telethons and things that will be benefiting MusiCares. And I've always been a big supporter of MusiCares. I've completely transparent of the fact that you paid for me to go to rehab. That saved my life. And I would not be able to be here had it not been for a combination of Sims here in Austin, who essentially helped me identify my issues, and then MusiCares, who stepped in when Sims could not afford to send me to rehab. MusiCares did, and it was absolutely a life-changing event for me. And I know many musicians. I bet close to 50 musicians that have personally received services of all sorts. Not just that. I know people from who were in New Orleans that were affected by Katrina, who absolutely received MusiCares funding, as well as people who had emergency dental surgery that MusiCares stepped in to pay for. So I think that a lot of people when they hear MusiCares, they automatically assume it is the Grammys, but it's a completely separate organization that's a part of what used to be called, and I don't even know if they still do this in the Recording Academy chapters or not, but it's really one of the three pillars of the Recording Academy, and in my opinion, the most important, because the awards, are great and they mean a lot to folks. I would kill to win one, not maybe kill, but I would love to win one. But lifting up our musicians and our music creators and the people who keep our music business running is so vital. And as you mentioned, it is a constant cycle. Many musicians will play long tours and then go months, sometimes years before they get out on the road again. And they have other things that can get them by, but things happen, things change, and there are needs that need to be met. I was told early on, and this might be not true now, but I was told early on when you opened the COVID-19 page that you essentially had more applications in 2 weeks than you had in a normal year. Is that true?
We did.
Wow.
We did. So I am very proud of the fact, and still remain so, that 2 years ago we helped 8,600 people nationwide with $6.7 million in aid.
Wow.
And so when we were talking about launching this effort, we took money from our endowment fund, and then the Recording Academy took money from their endowment fund to announce $2 million. And we did some analytics with the help of Steve Boom, who is our board chair and who works for Amazon, just around how many musicians would be in need. And we knew that the need was going to be extraordinary, but we had no idea just how much, how many people would flock to us once we made this announcement. And we we got our feet wet, so to speak, through Katrina, where that disaster occurred and we had no infrastructure to help support a disaster, and we built one very quickly. And so I continue to say, listen, if we only raise $2 million, if we help 2,000 people, that's 2,000 people. And why wouldn't we do that? And so we then found, as typical and as the norm of the industry, people came to us. We've had over 500 different opportunities of support for this effort alone, from large corporations to really small entities, and small efforts turn into big efforts as they, are cumulative. We've had over 1,100 different artists participate in fundraising events for us. And so I think the music community as a whole knows how challenging the industry can be. And so, and I don't know that the regular general population knows that. They think of the big artists and the people who play for them, and they think, gosh, they've got millions of dollars. Why would there need to be a charity for the industry? But there are thousands or hundreds of people that support that artist who are, not barely scraping by, but when life happens, when they hit a pothole in life that's difficult, they may not have the resources to get through it, or the benefits that other professions do have, like insurance. And and there are occupational hazards. As a musician, there can be addictions everywhere, and not that there's a high propensity for the music industry, but yet it's more acceptable in the industry.
Sure.
That it is, a banker can't drink during, they shouldn't during their job. Maybe some do, but they shouldn't. And so it's frowned upon more than it is in the industry. So again, I'm kind of rambling, but that we were very proud of those numbers back in the day. And then when we did this, we continued to hit roadblocks, and we'd have to crawl over them or around them or just bulldoze through them.
Sure.
To just keep doing what we were doing. And I said to our board of trustees last week, I said, if anybody had said to me that we would serve 14,000 people in 8 to 10 weeks, I would have said, that's a lovely idea, but there's no way we could possibly do that. And we have.
Well, very proud of that work that you're doing. And as a voting member of the Academy, I'm very proud of that. But also as a member of the Austin music community, seeing so many of my friends, myself included, who were able to qualify for that first round of funding, and really excited that this was able to come together. And we kind of talked a little bit about how it all happened. But, essentially, once there was the initial connection made with the city of Austin, you kind of worked out with the city exactly how this would work, because you have set up specific funds for certain, relief efforts. But this is something new for MusiCares in this sense. And I'm excited to see what it might lead to in the future, maybe other partnerships with other cities who are well known for music. And that I think one of the things that most people overlook when they're looking for partners in funding and distributing funds is that you need people that this really is all they do. And that is really all MusiCares does, is really try to get that money out. And so I'm just really grateful for y'all coming on and joining up with the city of Austin for this historic fund. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. And also thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your story. That's important and perhaps can help somebody else out there. So thank you.
Well, I think it is important, and it has always been, it's never lost on me that what I have been given is a gift. And I'm so grateful for that. And it is National Mental Health Awareness Month. And we're also celebrating the idea of Daniel Johnston's "Hi, how are you?" And I've been really going out of my way to try to check in with people. And we say, "Hi, how are you?" And then it's, "Oh, I'm good." But no, tell me how you're really feeling right now. Let me be open to that. And then maybe I can tell you a little bit about how I'm feeling. And I think it is so important that we share those moments with people now more than ever.
Agreed. Couldn't agree more.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Okay, so we're going to get to our next guest in just a minute, but first we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have a community update from Executive Director Pat Buchta. Stand by.
It's time for our voices to be heard.
No one wants to live or work in Austin without music.
Musicians have a very powerful voice at City Hall.
Today is the first public forum about the Live Music Fund. It's happening at City Hall.
For the first time, we really have a great structure in place to communicate with our music community on the street level.
We can activate our base to find out what it is that musicians, really do want out of this.
An added music venue designation will open the gateway for other tools through which our music community is supported.
What would you say to musicians who are really scared right now?
Live music is part of the soul of this city, and we can't afford to lose it, or we'll lose a large part of what Austin is.
You're part of my constituent base, and we really want to make sure that we're there for you.
Everything I'm going to talk about tonight is no cost, and I'm going to make sure that you all have resources about how you can connect to us.
We are going to be processing those claims to see if we can help musicians and independent contractors, artists, and gig workers receive that pandemic unemployment assistance.
Take the time to sit down and focus 100% on that, creative process and write new material.
I quote my normal rate because I've decided that that's what I'm worth.
So when is it safe to start playing private gigs?
Yeah, that's the $64,000 question.
Wait, is that how much you guys get?
Time stands still for me when I'm playing for these folks. They need it, and you just feel good.
It's the end of the year. We're celebrating the holidays with Ham. We're going to talk to them and find out all of the great things they've been up to this year.
If you see a blind person or anybody with a disability, don't be afraid to approach them and talk to them.
There he is, Pat Buchta.
Forgive me, we just got some thunder here, and Mochi is very angry, but I think she'll survive. So,
yeah, well, we're trucking along, and we're right on time tonight. So
I know
I'm very proud of our workflow here. Normally I run a little bit behind. But the thunder is coming in, and I want to get to your community update. So, everybody, this is Executive Director Pat Buchta with our community update. Take it away.
Yeah, sure enough. Thanks, Nakia. It's really cool, to hear from Stephanie and Debbie tonight as we learn more about the Austin Music Disaster Relief Fund. Austin, Texas musicians, like Stephanie was saying, was selected as one of those community champions to help get the word out. And so we're working to bring that message to every diverse community and every demographic in the hopes that all Austin musicians affected by the pandemic have a chance to apply for this funding, right? We sent a lot of important info out across our social media platforms today and through email. But if you guys still have questions, we are here to serve as a resource for you. That is our core mission. You can always holler at me or Nakia at our emails right there on the screen. And please do so. We're here for you in that regard. So the Austin Music Disaster Relief Fund was one of 3 major items to be approved on last week's council agenda. So I want to take just a moment to talk about those other 2 items that passed. and really what those mean for the Austin music community, right? So item 95 charges the city manager to create an EDC, an Economic Development Corporation, that will focus specifically on sustaining and growing our music industry. This one personally is really, really exciting to me because I see so much opportunity here for future collaboration and partnership with the city. You know, like we were talking about tonight with MusiCares, we're doing that now with the city. And I can't imagine the opportunities we can have through item 95. Item 96 will deliver, I believe it's $40 million in aid to our beloved music venues. This is like the big topic we've been talking about for weeks, right? You know, after Shady Grove, after Threadgill's closed down permanently, you know, so many of our music venues are in danger of closing within weeks. So now we have this relief coming to make sure, you know, that we still have places to play when the lights come back on. And the cool thing, this includes some really interesting provisions like a state historical designation for the Red River Cultural District. So, you know, I want to really underline the fact that, you know, the adoption of these three initiatives right now is historic, and it is unprecedented throughout the United States. Our city leaders are listening to us, they're working with us, and they are making decisions with our music community in mind. And that is because we continue to show up and to speak up. That's what it's all about here at Austin, Texas Musicians. So let's circle back to relief efforts for musicians. We've heard about the Austin Music Disaster Relief Fund. And next up, we're going to hear from our friend Suzanna, who will tell us about another cool program that's bringing aid to musicians. Real quick, I want to mention two others that you may not have heard about. Our friends at Home, that's housing opportunities for musicians and entertainers. That's another great nonprofit here in town. They are giving $500 grants out for housing assistance. You've got to be 55 years or older, and you've got to have 20 years of history as a working musician to apply. You can learn more about this program at Home Austin, that URL you see on the screen right there. I have a really good friend who's already received one of these grants. So it's worth applying. I mean, Jesus, that's going to be me in 5 years. So, you know, I definitely think Home's a really important organization for our community and for our elder statesmen in the Austin music scene, right? So that's about it, Nakia. Next week, we're going to focus on a very cool new Austin, Texas Musicians program that one of our MAP members actually came up with. And this is a program to register musicians to vote.
Yes. And that's so important. And thank you so much for chiming in for us tonight, Pat. And I'll let you get back to running the show behind the scenes.
Will do.
Bye, Mochi. We'll talk to you soon. So as you heard right there, lots of stuff going on. The Home grants, they have money available. If you're over 55, please reach out to them over at homeaustin.org. You know, one of the things that we saw real quick, we saw a comment from one of our group members, Tommy Howard, asking, you know, did I hear you say that if I received assistance already from MusiCares, I won't qualify for the Austin Music Disaster Relief Fund? And that is correct. The way this particular fund is set up is that is only for folks that have not received that first round of funding that was part of the MusiCares COVID-19 fund. Now, we don't know what else happens next. We know that this original 1.5 was never enough. We know that there is CARES money available, and I believe that we will begin discussing how we can find more money to put into this fund for musicians. And who knows, maybe there's a way that we can look at having folks who, by the time the funding comes back around, that maybe won't be a part of the eligibility requirements. But as Pat mentioned, we definitely want to get on our next guest. So I've known Suzanna for many, many years. Speaking of folks that are getting older, gosh, it just seems like yesterday, though, that I walked into Momo's and I sat down in the middle of the club and looked on stage and was completely enamored by Suzanna Choffel. I had really never heard anybody in Austin who were singing like you, and you have this amazing style of guitar. It's almost like it's a little bluesy, but it's kind of like that. I forgot the guy's name that plays with Chris Isaac, but it's always got this great, almost like an arpeggiated vibe to it, and you do so great. Everybody, this is Suzanna Choffel.
Thanks, Nikia.
One of my dear friends who is also not only a musician, but has now become your midday voice of Sun Radio. Pretty much, 5 days a week, 6 days a week?
Yeah, 6 days a week. I do Sundays too. So yeah, Monday through Friday, 11 to 3, Sundays, noon to 4.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. I want to say that, one of the things that I miss about, playing out and going places is Cosmic Cafe, which is owned by your partner, Paula Vasey. And I saw that you're beginning to start putting small, capacity people in there. Very excited about that. And I'm looking forward to a time when I can finally come and perform at Cosmic Cafe. I have yet to actually perform there. So
we'd love to have you sometime in the near future, hopefully in the near future. So we'll see. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, definitely. I know. So much good news going on today. I've loved watching the whole show and all this good news going on for musicians, and kudos to you and Stephanie and everybody putting in the time to help our community out.
Well, thank you so much for saying that, and kudos to you and Sun Radio, because obviously you're busy now. Everybody knows that you're my friend, and most folks know that you're also a fellow Voice alum.
Yes.
Season 2 for you, season 1, the OG for me.
I was season 3.
Oh wait, season 3. That's right.
Yeah. It's all good. I know there's like 20 million seasons now.
Season
it's hard
2
to keep
Flex. But the reason we invited you on today is the post that you submitted to the group, because you are a member of Austin, Texas musicians community. And you submitted a post this morning about another effort that Sun Radio has put together to bring aid to our music community. What does the Sun Radio Recharge program aim to do?
Cool. Yeah. So the great thing about Sun Radio is it's not just a radio station. We're actually a nonprofit. We are a 501c3 charitable organization for the arts with a very big mission to preserve Texas music heritage. And so we've been trying to figure out what we could do for the community. For a while, we were promoting live streams on air and stuff, but it felt like so little. So we figured out a way to allocate $10,000 to provide local musicians, and that means Austin and San Antonio, and not just musicians, but crew members, sound techs, roadies, anybody who basically gets a paycheck from gigs. They can apply for $200 grants to help pay their electricity bill. So it's pretty simple. You just head over to sunradio.com/recharge to apply. And I just looked through the questions just to make sure kind of what it entails. It is a lot of stuff you have to get together, but it looks pretty, you could probably spend 20 minutes putting it together, and that's probably all it's going to take for the application. So, and if you can prove that you make your income, you have past calendar dates. I see that you can attach pictures of yourself playing out live. So that's a pretty simple thing to do. You can attach samples of your music, basically anything that proves that you get your income from primarily live music. So we're really happy to be doing this. We're also giving money to other radio stations. We're actually helping community and non-com radio stations nationwide, giving them each $250, hoping that helps a bit with something. So we're just trying to do our part to help the music community, the radio community survive this crazy time. So
absolutely. And so glad that you mentioned that Sun Radio is a nonprofit, and obviously one of my favorite segments is David's, moment in Texas heritage. I think it's
Pioneers of Sun Radio. Yep.
Pioneers of Sun Radio. That's what it's called. First of all, he has an amazing radio voice.
He does. Yeah.
He's such a
great
great guy. But they're so informative, and I've learned so much about people that I didn't even know were Texans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I was listening to David's segments. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And, you know, you guys
job.
are really committed to local music. You do so much you put on live events, obviously, which we can't do right now. But, you know, that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, because you're also a musician who plays live events, but you're also a radio DJ that now has to sometimes attend live events, part of your job. So, you know, there's a lot of gigs that are starting to pop up. I'm getting offers. I'm betting you're probably starting to get offers.
Yep.
I've said no so far to everything that's been indoors.
Okay.
I have been asked to play a couple of outdoor places that I said, let's talk about it. And let me talk to the band first.
Right.
Because I want everybody to feel comfortable.
Right.
Then, you know, if the money is right and the safety is there, maybe we could make that work. But what would it take for you right now to really feel safe?
Yeah.
You would play another live gig.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so far I haven't gotten a ton of live gig things offered. I've gotten a couple interesting, last week I got an offer to come out and kind of serenade someone at Cosmic Coffee and Beer Garden. A really great fan of mine, his 21-year-old daughter was turning 21. And he just wanted to do something special. So I came and did like this kind of distanced sort of mariachi table, you know, performance. And that felt pretty good because it was outdoors at Cosmic. Everybody's doing a really great job of keeping space, keeping distance. It felt great. This Sunday I'm doing a gig. It's a virtual gig that I'm kind of showing up to a church and doing a pre-recorded thing that will then air for the congregation. And it's very safe, social distancing. It felt right to me. But as far as like an actual gig, like what you're talking about, calling up my band, you know, and saying, hey, I've thought about that. I'm right there with you. I think it's going to have to be outdoors. It's going to have to be, they're going to have to take in, you know, account distance from stage to audience. There's going to have to be a lot of barriers kind of set up, I think, to protect not only the band, but the audience. It's going to be an interesting process. I don't know. I think that people are going to have to rethink the spatial setup,
Absolutely.
you know, of venues. Venues might have to do a little bit of work, and then that makes me feel awful because I know that carves out more money, more, you know, to actually have to maybe reassess how their building is structured. You know, Cosmic had a great, like a huge sneeze guard kind of made, you know, to protect both, you know, people ordering drinks and the servers, you know.
Yeah.
So all kinds of little things that you don't really think about that come into play with protecting everybody from this. So it'll be interesting. I haven't really received an actual kind of like real live gig offer. If it did come to me, I'd have to really kind of think through it and ask a lot of good questions. I think you're smart, you know, and absolutely not the right amount of money, you know. So especially right now when income isn't really coming in. So
well, and that brings me to something that I wanted to say before we let you go. And for folks just joining us, you know, Suzanna obviously works at Sun Radio. They have announced their recharge program. They're helping to pay musicians light bills. You can apply right now at sunradio.com or sunradio.org.
Sunradio.com/recharge. But if you just go to the homepage, it's there. Yeah.
Right. And you can find out all the details there. She announced that this morning in our Austin, Texas musicians community group here on Facebook. But, you know, one of the things that we want to know, and Pat, if you can throw this question up in a banner, is, you know, what do you feel are the best safety guidelines that should be in place? Because we are currently working on a policy recommendation around this actual item. And I want to just read off to you kind of where we are in that process.
Okay.
The first idea is, the first thing that you need to consider is, are you being paid? If you're not being paid, it's not worth it. Let me repeat this for the folks in the back. Don't play free shows ever, but especially not right now.
Not when your life depends on it.
Right. It's, the old saying is, you know, you can die from exposure. Yeah, well, now you really can. And if you are being paid, is it a fair deal? Do you have a contract? And I know that's crazy to say in Austin because a lot of people do verbal and handshake deals. But number one, I don't want to be shaking nobody's hand right now. So I'm going to need it in writing, and it's going to need to be legal, because I'm not going to put myself or my band members or my fans in danger without these things being in place. So the second thing is it safe for the band? Is the stage large enough to social distance from each other and a safe distance from the audience? Are stands and surfaces being sanitized before and after people play? Can you bring your own mic and maybe your own mic stand? Normally I bring my own mic, but I'm thinking I might have to go the Christina Aguilera route and get myself my own mic stand. And then is there staff, like a sound engineer, that can keep you from having to touch any gear that doesn't belong to you? I mean, think about this, Suzanna. The days of sharing gear are probably behind.
I know.
Drummers,
so weird.
And bass players that are depending on gear.
No backline, baby. Yeah.
No backline, right. And then 3, is the venue safe for staff and fans?
Right.
Mask required for entry? Is staff required to wear the mask?
Right.
Is the occupancy limit being enforced? Is social distancing being enforced among fans? Is hand sanitizer readily available for use? These are the kind of questions that we love for folks to help us answer. Please chime in the comments. And of course, if you're a group member, we'll be talking about some of this. Look at this. Here's Tje Austin.
Hey.
Wow. Tje giving the full, speaking of exposure.
He's got quarantine fashion going on.
Yeah.
Right. Or lack thereof.
That's right.
I saw you in the green room just now shaking your head about the Christina Aguilera comment. And I just see that Nancy Copland is saying, own your own mic. It's OYOM. Right. Not BYOB, it's OYOM.
I love it. Yes.
Your own mic. Bring your own mic. I mean, that is a standard at this point.
Oh yeah.
So here we are. We are also Tje Austin answering the Zoom question of, do you have to come to?
Apparently not. Some people don't wear pants, but Tje doesn't wear shirts. I like it.
Oh, am I wearing pants?
That's
true. Pants, or is he not?
But I do want to say, while I've got the 3 of us here, that we are all part of the Voice alum, obviously, and we've all been a part of Voices in the Round, which I've kind of spearheaded for us all to play together. And I'm thinking, and I hate to put you on the spot, but I'm thinking that we should do a Voices in the Round live stream event where we get together and maybe raise some money for Ham or Sims or maybe the Sun Radio Recharge, or MusiCares, something. I think that'd be really, really cool. Maybe we could love that. Before it was harder to get other Voice alums from across the country.
Right.
Now that's not an issue.
Yeah. Do it. I'm down.
I even watched, they did the finals with.
I know.
From home. It was so crazy.
Weird. I know. Yeah. I can't imagine not having the crowd there to.
And the duet.
So weird. Yeah.
Shaquille Downey says he is here for this.
Yes. I am too.
We're
home.
We're home. There you go. Okay. Well, thanks for being on the show, Suzanna. We are going to pivot down here to Tje Austin. Folks, if you are watching at home again, don't forget, go to sunradio.com/recharge and sign up if you want to have Sun Radio help recharge your power bill.
We want to pay your bills.
That's right.
Thanks for
all
having
right.
me, Nakia.
Thank you so much, Suzanna. Hi, Tje. How are you?
Just kidding. I'm great.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad to have you here. And you are a musician advisory panelist.
Yes, I am.
A MAP member. Yes. And we see you, pretty regularly now. We have weekly meetings on Fridays that Pat hosts digitally, of course. And, I've seen you getting more and more active as a MAP member, but also, finding your own advocate voice through this process. And I heard earlier for folks who, obviously before the show, when you were doing your sound check, you were talking about how you would like to kind of help some of these older musicians who don't really have access to computers or don't really know much about technology, that you would be willing to help those folks out. And it sounds like Stephanie was talking about that maybe the AMF is going to be hiring some folks to help do that. So maybe that's a way that you can be involved.
That would be really cool. I don't know why That wasn't something that I ever thought about people that don't really use computers, that don't want to use computers, don't have access to computers, and don't have access to these live streams, that may not know about all the resources out there. And that's crazy to me. Like everyone should get a chance to make their lives better in the world that we currently live in. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Well, so I did have a couple of questions for you. One of those is you recently participated in a live stream fundraiser. Carolyn Mason Dozier wants to know, is your shirt still in the dryer? Here you go. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is pretty wet outside. It's pouring.
It is. It's raining right now.
You're already getting requests from your fans.
Oh.
But you last week participated in a fundraiser that was a live stream event, but it was hosted at a real venue. There was just no audience.
Right, exactly.
What was that like? Because I watched it and it was a huge production.
Yeah.
That I'd never seen you in this. I knew that you were doing these projects. I'd never seen you, and you killed it, of course.
Thank you.
What was that like for you?
It was because you saw there are a lot of members, there are a lot of vocalists, there are a lot of musicians that are involved with that. We basically hyped each other up because sometimes it's hard to perform without receiving the energy from the crowd. And luckily there was a great, 15, 20 people there that we were feeding on each other's energy, but also we hadn't done that in such a long time that we were kind of craving that, while also feeling a little weird about being around each other because, we're in a time where we're trying to keep our distance and we're not trying to get I don't want COVID. I don't want to die from it. So, yeah. But it felt good. It felt good. It was just odd to not have an audience, and it felt good to see all of those people in the music, people that I've been around that I hadn't seen in such a long time.
Sure. And I heard you say that it is weird because part of what drives me in my performance is the reaction from the audience.
Totally.
Don't get me wrong. There were years where I would show up to open mics and things and there would be nobody there. And so I've got my experience of what it's like to play to nobody.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm used to now. And it is very different trying to, play and then am I getting enough hearts? Or are people liking this? Who's Venmoing me? Did anybody buy my merch tonight?
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's very, very strange, and it's not really the way it's supposed to be. And I really hope it's not the way that it's ever that's going to stay that way. Yeah. I think live streaming is cool. But I am ready to play again. Speaking of things that are cool, a lot of people don't know this that are casual Tje Austin fans, but you are one hell of a baker. You baked, that's right. You baked me one of the best key lime pies I've ever eaten. I may still have that key lime pie plate.
Yeah,
I have to give it back to you.
That's cool because it's this thing where you give it back and then I have to refill it and give it back to you.
So what are you doing during the pandemic to kind of stay creative and stay motivated? Are you baking more? What else are you doing?
Dude, I'm going to be honest. This pandemic has really been like a recharge. I have been able to thrive in this situation because one, I'm learning about, doing live streams and all that, but I am working more on my graphic design and working more on the baking aspect. And then, since I'm not spending money going out to eat and I'm not spending money on beverages as well, when you go out to the bars all the time, you're spending money on beverages. I was able to actually save money and pay bills without really thinking about, okay, what's happening this weekend? Or I don't know. It's been really nice. And then checking on people. I enjoy checking on people and seeing how they're doing. Going to be an awesome baker. There's some dope things coming
Well, I can't wait to taste them.
Yeah.
But
totally.
now we're going to transition into your performance, and you're going to play us a song.
Yes, I am.
And then you're basically playing us out tonight. So,
Okay.
so much for being on the show.
Thanks.
I miss you. I can't wait to hug you again.
I know.
Mike Mordecai wants to borrow that plate. You'll have to rip it from my hands beforehand, Mike. But everybody at home, please give it up for Tje Austin.
Yay!
Tap those hearts. And we'll put his Venmo up on the screen too. Make sure to pay this boy. Hang on. Tje Austin.
Okay. You request a song, and I don't know if I know all the words, but we'll see, because I don't ever play it. I belong to you. It's plain and simple. And your love, it feels just like home. I want to take you into my arms and never let go. Oh, I belong to you. It's plain and simple. All the joy and all of the pain. I make a promise to never hurt you. I'm here to stay. And if you get weary, I will give you all my strength. You are for nothing. I will give you everything. And oh, I belong to you. Plain and simple. All the joy with all of the pain. I'll love you still. A love that's unchanging. Forever I will.
Wow.
Aw.
Man. You know, I cannot say enough about how beautiful your voice is. I was immediately transported though. Do you remember the piano in Burbank?
Yes.
At the was it the Hilton? No, not the Hilton, the Marriott.
The
Whatever,
Marriott, yeah.
where we were staying. And there was the piano, and we would all take turns like playing songs.
Yep.
And I remember the first time that you sat down and started playing, and it was the first time I heard you sing, and I remember thinking, "Oh man, I am so screwed."
No. That was an interesting time. We were all trying to feel each other out. You know?
I know, it was really weird. And do you remember? And she's gone now. But that was the same day that we met Bev.
Yep.
No, and what an amazing person she was.
Yep.
If you're watching at home and we're done with this, I'm going to post a video of me and Bev singing on the Voice Tour, the Christina Aguilera song, Beautiful. I'll post it over on my fan page at Nikia. But listen, Tje, thank you so much, not only for being a musician advisory panelist, but for taking the time to come on the show and for getting your shirt.
Yes. Where did it go?
And for baking me whatever cake is going to come my way, or pie is going to come my way. And we love you and we miss you and we can't wait to see you again.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
You bet. Thank you. Well, folks, everybody, that was our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't forget that if you are watching this and you're a musician, Don't play free shows ever, period. Nada, can't do it, won't do it. The only day that you should even remotely ever consider doing that is Ham Day, and that's because we all do it on that day. It's solidarity. And if I have my way with the Live Music Fund coming up, we will help to find musicians money to be paid for that too, because that is exactly the type of thing that the Live Music Fund could help us do, I believe. But we shall see what happens with that. We do have another Live Music Fund working group meeting tomorrow, and we will be talking about the Austin Music Disaster Relief Fund and our professional musician application again tomorrow in verse and chorus. And we're hopefully going to hear from some other musicians who did play gigs this weekend and what it was like. We are very concerned about gig safety, and we want to talk more about that as well. Don't forget, Austin, Texas Musicians is a 501c4 nonprofit. You can head over to atxmusicians.org/support if you would like to make a donation. We got our first donation last week. So shout out to Trish Murphy for that donation. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time. This has been an episode of Night Shift brought to you by Austin, Texas Musicians. Bye-bye.